All right, let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Let's look at the charts, stock market technical analysis. We're going to go ahead and see if there's any interesting trade ideas that we can spot for, next week and maybe the following couple weeks. Give me an audio check. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay, and we'll just jump right into it. We're going to look at, I usually like to start out looking at triple Qs, and I'll kind of add on to what I put out one video this week, and then was obviously commenting a lot to the private member group throughout the week. So we'll pick up where that left off. And we will, and then we're going to look at any other charts you guys want me to look at. So if you have a chart that you think is interesting or something that you either have a position in or you want to take a position in, put it in the comments below. Try to keep your picks to one or two so I can kind of get through and give everyone an opportunity. And then we'll look at those charts. There is one I do want to point out. Actually, I think I'll start off with that one. I think it was Hershey, HSY, I believe. So someone commented about this one early in the week, and it did look good. I was I was charting it, and here's what I got. So let me just kill these lines here. You can see here this is a daily chart here. You'll notice that we had a downward trend line. Now I couldn't quite make a super clean trend line, but I have enough reactions to validate it as a trend line. 1, 2, 3. There's a group right within there, and then boom, a breakout. So by the time they pointed it out, it had already kind of broken out. So it was something that I thought did look good for sure, and I still think it looks like a good long trade. And ideally, you buy on pullbacks. We did get a pullback the last couple of days. So if I narrow this down, let me kind of go down to the hourly, see if we can kind of start to make out some sort of a trend line. Yeah, you can't quite make it really. I mean, we did break that trend line. So that's only a couple data points. So we'll see. I think there's probably a little more work to do, but we'll go with that. Back to the daily chart. This also was a bullish falling wedge pattern. You take about the widest part of the wedge, and that sets Hershey up for a move up to about 207-ish, somewhere right in there. And also you can see there's decent resistance just overhead. I have several reactions. Look, there's a reaction. There's one there. There's another. So that would be my target, somewhere right up in there. All right. I think if you get close to that, they're probably going to at least get close to this major resistance. It's about 214, 213.75. Don't wait for the last penny. If you're long that thing and you're trading up into this zone, that's where you always want to step in a little early. So there's a trade idea. Also, the other thing, kind of the final thing, because technical analysis is not a guarantee. It's just merely we're trying to find probabilities where we have good probability for trades to work. All right, and then that's the best we can do with the charts, and then we manage risk through position sizing and stop losses and all that. Here you also have bullish divergence on the momentum indicators. So you've got this bullish falling wedge, you've got bullish divergence, you've got a breakout coming in for a back test. Maybe it wants to do a full back test. That's possible. That's the objective. If you get down there, it's objective to go long on a back test. Okay, these trade setups repeat themselves over and over, and I talk about them when I see them, and that's that would be an objective long down there. Whether you get down there or not, I don't know. Maybe that we start to build some sort of an uptrend line. Like I pointed out on that hourly chart, I can't really make a clean uptrend line quite yet, so maybe a little more downside for that back test. But again, it's a bullish. This is a buy the dip stock. When I see something like this, I say, okay, where do I want to buy it at? I don't want to short it. Where do I want to buy it at? All right, and it's got a good setup. Okay, so that's that one, and that was, a subscriber kind of pointed this one out, and I took a look at it, and that's what I see. Triple Qs, tech stocks. So this one, I did kind of give like a micro call in the private member group where I thought we were maybe going to get a small bounce up to, up to about 406-ish. If I go down to the hourly chart, and again, anytime I talk about micro calls, it's very active trading stuff. It's short term. I still think we're heading lower, but in the short term, you do have some bullish divergence showing up on the hourly. There it is on the PPO and the RSI. And, I think we could trade up to about, there's 402.75. There's some resistance right there. And then there is, I've got it marked at about 405-ish. You get anywhere right in there. I think that's going to be, from my perspective, probably good enough. And then max bounce would be like this gap fill. Because you gap down up to about 409.37, down 408.75. Somewhere right in there would be max bounce. I wouldn't worry about the last dollar. All right, so that's potential. Now, again, what I look for, if there's a change in a trend, which is what this has the potential to be, if I go back to the daily chart here, if we've changed trend here, usually that initial gap down doesn't always get filled. All right, you got to trap some money. But it's been pretty impulsive selling, I would say. I mean, you look at that from the high to where we, really were at, down 4% and just it's pretty much straight down. So a bounce makes sense to me. It doesn't have to happen. And then you also have some support. Here's this level I pointed out when I kind of pointed out the initial trade, 392.45. You've got some support down there. So, we're pretty close. Whether it bounces and then hits this lower target, that's really hard for me to call and trade it how you want. I do think we are going to come down here and hit this. So whether it does this and then that, or if it just comes down and hits that, then you get a bounce. I think you're probably going to get a bounce around that 392.75-ish level. That's what I see there. And then the other one you really want to keep an eye on, obviously, are the Mag 7. Nvidia is important, and I haven't seen this break trend yet. Here's the daily chart, and you'll see here, look, you've got support. There's another reaction. Didn't quite get it there. Here's a little false breakdown. But look, you broke the trend line, but as I always say in my videos, sell signals, you want them to be impulsive. If you're just barely breaking below a trend line and there just doesn't seem to be any real selling pressure when you're breaking trend, that's a clue. That tells you, okay, market makers are running stops, but there's not real, selling pressure. And so you want to see impulsive selling to help you solidify that as a sell signal. And this wasn't it, especially in Nvidia. This thing's way pumped up. So when the selling pressure comes, you'll know it. All right. There's a lot of people long on this thing. And it's kind of a one-sided trade. So when the selling pressure comes, you'll know it. And it doesn't look like that. So again, that's why I never pointed this out as, as like a major sell signal, but it's on watch. And then on Friday, you can see it's still holding that trend line. So again, big negative divergence. It's been building for a while. You've got almost a sideways trading range. We need to see a pulsive sell signal, which would be a break of this trend line. Okay. And then Apple, and then I'll just kind of move on from these. Apple, again, this was key. Look, you're at the 200 SMA right there. Algos are programmed, the computer programs are programmed to buy under certain conditions, and usually there's enough of them that fire off buy orders at the 200, especially on Apple. Okay, Apple's kind of the stalwart stock that, it's really, it's almost over-owned. I mean, it's owned by all kinds of ETFs. I think I've heard somewhere there's 300 or so ETFs that own it, and it's indexed all over the place. It's down. Apple from the high is down almost 10%. So down 10% at the 200-day in, what you can still call a bullish trend. From my perspective, I don't believe that this is a bull trend that's going to continue, but I think you're going to get a bounce here, all right, a reactive bounce. There's a gap to fill. So in general, all right, you can probably bounce up to about 187. You can see support is now resistance. So I like that personally. I think that's the best target, about 187-ish. You could bounce up to this, and fill this gap, 190, 175. Those would be the two targets. For me, I'd probably just stick with this first target. All right, and then I think we head lower. That might change, if and when we bounce up here, then, maybe the charts look different at that time, but, that's what I've got. Okay, so that's that one. And Apple is so heavily weighted in the triple Qs. It's like 20% of the triple Qs. Apple and Microsoft make up about 40%. So just those two alone, like, do pretty much dictate where that's going to go. And tech is like 21% of the S&P 500. So it all kind of plays into each other. But Apple and Microsoft are kind of keystone stocks in the market. So again, watching these. That's all I have on the tech stocks. I know I talk about that stuff a lot. So gold, let's look at that real quick. And I'll just do this real quick. I know there's always people that are interested in this. Okay, this is GDX. To me, it looks like it's in an uptrend. We don't have 3 reactions, but look, you've got 1 reaction, 2 reactions. I can't say that I have a third yet, so I'd like to see that before I can fully, with confidence, say this looks like an uptrend. So maybe we hit this trend line and look for that reaction. That would validate this as an uptrend line, all right, an upward channel. All right, so keep an eye on that. Newmont. So this one does look like an upward channel, all right? Support. There's 3 days of testing that, and it held. So that's a reaction. So yeah, I like that. And I think this is going to bounce, all right? I think we're heading up to this 45, 46-ish area. Again, the pattern that this is still trading off of is this big bullish falling wedge pattern. And you take the widest part of the wedge, which is about there, take it to the breakout point, and that sets us up for a move. That the projected target's about 48. You've got some resistance up at 49.75. And then you've got some resistance right there at 46-ish. So yeah, zone of resistance. Okay, that's that one. All right, let's get into your guys' picks, and we will go ahead and wrap up. So, if we don't have too many, we'll just make it a short live stream. All right, NTR, Nutrien, that's an ag stock. So there's another one, there's one with an M, I believe. We'll look at these. Okay, this is a nice clear pattern. You've got resistance, 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 resistance. I've got this one already marked out. So, very clear downtrend. And then support looks like the buyers are stepping in about 52, 58-ish. Support, 3 reactions. We're compressing within that range. So there's no, you're kind of in like, the indecision zone. Support obviously down here, resistance there. So there's nothing to do right now. It does have clean bullish divergence. See that momentum moving up? So to me, it tells me that very likely it's going to break to the upside, but no buy signal. We need to wait for the breakout of this trend line. So, and then the 200-day, you can see it kind of walking right there. So you're going to have a little bit of a battle, but it should be pretty obvious. I think what'll probably happen, just to give you guys, with the 200 kind of floating above this trend line, I think what'll happen is you'll break out one day above the trend line, hit the 200, they'll sell it back down to the trend line. So maybe something like this. Let's say it were to break out. So it'd break up, hit the 200, back down, hit that. The buyers will step in, you probably battle it out. And then eventually I think you break above that 200 and, and off you go. Just with this bullish divergence that's been building, it tells me that's likely how that will play out. So I like this as a bullish setup, but no actionable buy signal yet. STEM. Let me double check. Yep. Okay, so STEM. This one I've covered in the past. I'm probably going to have to just see if we can make a trend line. It's not the cleanest chart, but we'll go with something like that. It's in a downtrend. You've got some bullish divergence that's been developing for a while. No actionable buy signal, and the trend line's not great. So personally, I would just pass on this one. SBSW. I have no idea what this one is. Is this a REIT? Precious metals? What is it? Oh, is this silver miner or something? Well, I kind of already covered the gold trade, so... and obviously each one of these can trade differently, but you'd want to go with the trend of gold and silver. Can't really make a clean trend line on this one either. Is this like a junior silver miner or something? I don't know. I just, when the gold and these all trade, typically they all trade together. When the gold miners when gold looks good, all the miners move. So we'll just have to kind of wait for that general trend to really show itself. PDD. All right, let's take a look. Okay. So PDD, you've got a bullish trend. You're way up here now, building some negative divergence on the daily. See it right there. So that's showing up. It's on both momentum indicators on the daily. So I think you're probably going to get a pullback. You gapped up, maybe an island cluster top. All right, you gap up, look for a gap down. If you get the gap down, that is going to be an island cluster reversal, which would tell me that you're going to go like this, and you're going to come down to this major trend line. That's COVID. There's some support. So I'd be on the lookout for that, to be honest. With the negative divergence, I'd look for a gap down, and then what you could do, the way I would trade it, is you short on the gap down. All right, you set a stop. You set a stop like basically a close above the highs. It has no real business. It can fill the gap. Sometimes what it'll do, it'll gap down, then they'll run it up to fill the gap, and they'll trade it right into about these areas, and then it'll roll over. So I set my stop above the highs on a daily close, and because you're short, this should head down to this trend line. Okay, so that's how I would trade that if you see the gap down, and that's what I'd be looking for. It's a nice setup for a gap down. Okay, so that's that one. I'll take a look at it. I'm gonna add it to my short list. Okay, CHPT. Is that? Oh, I was wondering if that's that Chat GPT. I don't know if that one's publicly traded or not. Okay, so this one's wrecked. I wouldn't be shorting this one. The short's already played out. So I mean, the risk reward is no longer there to short it. It can go lower, but I mean, to me, it looks like, I don't know, it could go bankrupt. Personally, you don't even have bullish divergence. So you got bullish momentum here, all right? But you also have, this was a divergent low right there, okay? So, and look, boom, you got a big rally out of that divergent low. Right now, yeah, I wouldn't touch it, to be honest. Maybe gambling money. You could be starting an uptrend, and maybe you got another move higher. But, yeah, this thing's broken. I mean, look, here's the thing. There's no trend line for me to validate that I would take a shot at. If I go down to the hourly, maybe I can go with this. Let me clean this up. Maybe you can go with that, right? See, I can't even make it like super clean, so you're kind of forcing it. So if you want to say this is your trend line, you stop out below it, and and then you could maybe go long. I'd just move on personally. PFE, Pfizer. So this is a healthcare stock. Obviously, it's Pfizer. Everybody knows this one. You got big support right down here at about 26.64. See all I've got it all marked out. It's kind of a range, but it's close enough. And then let's zoom in. There's probably a false breakdown. Yeah, bear trap, obviously there. That's in the past though. But again, big support. And then this one, yeah, we're going to go like there. There's your downtrend line. And so you hit trend line resistance and you're selling off. I don't see any real divergence. So at this time, I would stick with the downtrend. All right. Trending lower and no buy signals, no indication of a trend reversal anytime right now. So I just stick with the downtrend. This one is possible. You might come down and break this trend line. And if that happens, you know, look out below. We'll probably have to go to the weekly chart to, you know, yeah. So, you know, we might see something where it's going to break and you just continue this bear market. This thing's in a bear market. All right. Pins. Let me get back to the daily. As far as I can tell, looks like it doesn't look bearish to me yet. You've got strong momentum. You do have a pullback, but that's okay. I mean, you're going to get pullbacks. I don't see, it doesn't look bearish to me quite yet. So maybe another thrust up on this one. I can't make a clean trend line though, really. So it's kind of a messy chart, but you know, you've got some resistance. Let me adjust this. You know, there's some resistance overhead up at 43.12. Yeah, that would maybe be, if it's gonna do another move up, that would be a area I'd start to look at for resistance. Okay, QRVO. I don't know what this one is. Semis. Well, this is a semiconductor, so you can always look at the broad, you know, kind of start broad and then go to the micro. And this one, you did break that trend actually. So that was a sell signal on SOXX there. Yeah, looks like the semis are gonna probably come down. The main thing is Nvidia. There's SMH, another look at ETF. Looks like that was a sell signal here. Okay, so we're starting to get some sell signals in these semis, but you gotta watch the king, which is Nvidia, and I don't see that breakdown yet. So you get the breakdown in Nvidia, these semis look weak, and we'll look at that. Again, a breakdown in Nvidia is going to be kind of a key. It's kind of a linchpin for what I believe the market right now. Okay, CVX, Palantir, Disney. Okay, CVX is oil, and nat gas is looking interesting. I'm not a huge fan of like pointing out nat gas too much on this channel. It's super volatile and people can get wrecked, and I kind of, you know, if you're on YouTube watching videos, you know, I like to stick with the ones that are a little more conservative and not the crazy wild ones, but it does, you know, it looks bullish, nat gas. You know, but I point it out occasionally. This one, well, there's your bullish divergence. I had that pointed out. So I was talking, okay, this looks like, you know, you're making divergence. It looks like we're going to have a trend reversal. I think we've probably started that, kind of holding that support now, which it was resistance. Okay. And but you close right on it, basically. Yeah. So we need to see that kind of, I would say it's support for right now. And then obviously you want to look at just oil, not nat gas, but oil. Yeah, see, so oil has this downward, this is what I've been kind of looking at. You've got this downward channel here on the oil futures, and I want to see that break out. You break out, that's going to be bullish for oil and oil stocks. I don't see divergence telling me that's going to happen right now. Maybe there's another leg down to build a divergence. So not enough in the chart for me to be, bullish oil quite yet. So that's that one. And then Palantir, PLTR. This is one of those like mania stocks that during the COVID that people were pumping. That's not a trend. So this is the resistance line that I had marked out right there. You hit it, you popped it, they stop rage you. Probably came with divergence. Let me look. Nothing that I would be screaming about, I guess, in terms of divergence. You do have this divergence here that's just extended. So you've got, you were making higher highs in prices while momentum just could not seem to make a higher high. It continued to, trend lower. So, yeah, you pop it, run stops, and then boom, sellers. So, that's what you want to look for. See, that's what I talk about. When you have divergence, you pop resistance, that's the false breakout. And usually the divergence will give you the clue that that's the false breakout and nothing but sellers just crushing the thing. So that's then. What's now? Well, I see support down here. So that right there. All right. I'd look for that level. They might step in at the 200. Okay. But from what I can tell, you've got a sideways range. All right. Top of the range is about 2030. Bottom of the range is about 1360. It's a good size range, and you're in the middle of the range. So, it's objective as a long down here, and and then it's objective as a short down, or it's a short up here, and then obviously use your divergence to kind of give you a clue on maybe which way if it's gonna break. But for now, range bound. Okay, let me look at the Disney. I think was one. This one is probably kind of interesting. Let's take a look. It could be flagging. I instantly see this potential for this bull flag. You've got the flagpole, you're flagging, and the continuation. The easiest and quickest way to look at where the projected target would be is I just kind of draw a line to mark out the flagpole, and then you got the flag. You can kind of, again, usually you can just rough these things in a little bit, but something like that. It's more like a pennant actually, and then you mark that. Depending on when it breaks out, that would set Disney up for a move up to roughly 106 or so. And then what you usually want to do is look for, okay, that's the projected target. Is there any kind of other key resistance levels nearby? And then you just usually go with that one. You've got a reaction high right there at about 104-ish. So something like that. So I would say 104-ish would be the target. That's what I see on that one, at least initially. Again, the other thing that is very clear is you've got this bullish falling wedge pattern. And the widest part of the wedge was really about there. And that would be, you take it to the breakout point. So it hasn't hit the major target for that either. So yeah, I think higher, to be honest. It's objective. The next buy signal will come on a break of this little pennant right here, the top part. You break out that, then that means, okay, you're likely going to go up to some of these upper targets. For now, you just mark these out. There's one, and then maybe this one. All right, those would be the two targets, but the high probability is that it's about $100. Again, on a break of the pennant. Okay, that's that one. Tesla, chance for a bounce. Well, if the market's going to bounce like I kind of think it's going to, then you're probably going to bounce in Tesla. So, yeah, I think there's potential. You're still holding the 200 day, so that hasn't gone yet. Let me kind of move this, see if there's anything going on here. Nah, I can't even make that as a clean trend line. Bigger picture, Tesla's in a downtrend, okay? What Tesla likes to do, it seems, is have these really sharp spikes up where they suck in retail money, okay? But the bigger trend is down, all right? Downtrend, okay? So you're closer to the top of the downtrend than you are to the potential bottom. So risk reward is not favorable for a long, but maybe down here, yeah, you could bounce here. You could bounce up to that trend line, okay? And that's still a 13.5% move up. So that is, I would say that's completely possible. All right. I don't see anything in the charts that tells me it's a screaming short right here and now. So I'd prefer to short it up here at resistance with negative divergence and overbought RSI. That would be ideal. Or create some sort of a trend line that I can wait for a break of that trend line. Okay, so UEC. Negative divergence. It's been building for a while. So I would be looking more to the short side given the divergences, but we don't have a sell signal, I'm sure. Let me see if I can mark out some sort of trend line. And I'd have to go with that. That's about the best I can make it. You do have a little violation right here, but they recovered it and it had a daily close. So I'd probably go with something like that. Holding support, there's no sell signal. You're probably going to bounce here again, or gap down. All right. You see a gap down, that's your sell signal. You bounce, again, to me, this is a short, but I need that sell signal. So I don't want to short it here. If it wants to bounce, fine, let it bounce. I don't want to be long either because of the divergence. So if it bounces, fine. I'm waiting for that break of the trend line, gap down or something. So whenever that comes, would be the trade I would want to take. Maybe you have this little wedge too. Yeah, little bearish rising wedge there on the daily. Okay, so and then the widest part of the wedge would be something like that. So depending on when you break, that would be your major target. But no sell signal. I'll add this one to my short list. It's a clean chart, so. All right. Eli Lilly. All right, I can look at that one. Yeah, so to me, this looks like a pretty clean chart. You've got a upward price channel. You've got a break of trend, not super impulsive breakdown, but you got this back test here. It didn't fully hit the trend, so maybe they want to push it again and do another back test. That's possible. But again, maybe not. When you have a very clean level, the sellers often will step in early. You have negative divergence. This is a divergent high. Again, it looks like a good short to me. All right, popping up, making a new high, a new divergent high, close to resistance, and it's a back test. Yeah, so I would look for a short. The trade here, whether if you were short here, they could pop it up against you. Okay, and that would be, you'd have to ride that out, maybe 4.5% or so, because again, it's not at that trend line right now. Okay, so that would maybe be the move against you, and then the target would be this gap. All right, it's very obvious. There it is. So I wouldn't wait for the gap. If you're short and you get close to the gap, that's good enough. But that's a 26% drop down to the gap. So that's your reward, and then your risk is, kind of this backtest price action. 4 or 5%. Could continue to backtest, but 4 or 5%-ish maybe for your risk. So risk reward is like about a 5-to-1, and that's good. That's favorable. So I like it. If it does want to do a backtest, yeah, I would love that if they would give you that as an entry. Okay, so that is LLY. Kamco. That's another uranium miner. I'm not. I already did the uranium stock, so let me just see if this has the same kind of look. Yeah, it does. So same thing. Okay. Interesting. That one's on a sell signal. That's a breakdown. Sell signal, back test. That's objective to short. Okay, so that's a short. That's an actionable short. Okay, so this one breaking down actually makes me more interested in the other one because it hasn't broken down yet. So we might be able to get into that one when we get that initial sell signal. But this one's close enough to the resistance too. That's a short. Okay. Hood and Coin. So Robinhood. For me, it's not anything I'd be interested in to short. Again, I want to short things when there's a mania and they're pumped and they just start to break and everybody's exiting. That's when I want to short. But this is probably just dead money, to be honest. You've got resistance ish right in there. They seems like they like to pop it a little bit, and then you've got support. I don't know, somewhere right in there, I'd say. And it's a big sideways channel. So, yeah. And then what was the other one? Coin. So that's Bitcoin, Coinbase. Sell signal. I didn't see it, but I had the trend line marked out. So obviously I pointed this out to someone in the near future. And so that was my trend line, and that's your sell signal right there. Okay, so it could back test, and if you get that, that's a gift. But it's sell the rip. All right. So when things are on a sell signal, that doesn't mean you will rally, but it's sell the rip. So you want to look for opportunities to add or enter shorts as you rally into resistance because it's likely going to head lower. So from my perspective, I think this thing there's a major trend line down here, and I think you're heading down there. Probably pretty quickly, too, because this was just straight up. It's probably going to go straight down. Yeah, that's a big move. That's a 9% drop there. That's sell the rip. That's a big sell signal. So 36, that's a short. I hope, it'd be nice if they gave us an entry. If you took the short when you broke here, great. You have a good position. Otherwise, it'd be nice if they could rally into some resistance to give you an entry, but that's a short. Okay, and then Nvidia. I covered that one already. JP Morgan. This one has been strong for sure. I'm not in it. I don't have a position, but I'm looking for the divergence. It's starting to show up. It's just not very strong. This thing's way overbought. You can see it's just a straight up into this resistance line. So you have you've got this pattern here. You broke, and it's just a straight up move into the back test. I think it's objective to short here. I mean, you can see if I zoom in. Oh, sorry, I just like to clean these up as I go along. If you zoom in, you can see, there's sellers here. It's hitting that, and boom, they're selling it. Hit it again, selling it. So there's sellers there with those little wicks. The only thing I just don't really have is like a clean sell signal. What I would wait for, to be honest, you have this pretty clean trend line here. It's starting to they're starting to break it. Let's just move it down. Give it the benefit of the doubt, basically. Okay. What we need a big impulsive rejection candle. Something, a big red candle, a gap down, something. We need that. All right. That's your sell signal. If you see that, we don't have it yet. And then going back to the daily, Let me zoom in on here. You can see like just starting to show negative divergence on the PPO. All right, let me zoom into the RSI. And not really there. So it's sorry, that was the RSI is up top. My labels get deleted as I go along because I'm always cleaning up my charts and I just end up hitting it. And I don't know how to. I always forget. But RSI on top, PPO on the bottom. Use the MACD, moving average, convergence, divergence. If you don't have PPO, I pay for the TradingView Pro, and that's how you can get the PPO. But MACD is good enough for the most part. And then again, no big sell signal. So I've got this one up in my trading platform on one of my charts. I glance over at it. I'm waiting for it, but we don't have that sell signal yet. So you could build divergence a little bit more. It's not the cleanest divergence. So in order for a divergence to be clean, what you'd probably need is probably needs to do something like gap down or get a big move down and then go in for a back test, and it would have the divergence then. Okay, so it might do that, and in that situation, if you get the gap down or a big rejection candle, that's a sell signal. And then if you get the back test, you could add to the trade. So maybe take half position, and then if you get that, you could add to it, and then at that point you've got a full position and you have a nice setup, and it should go lower. But that's all hypothetical. Okay, that's just what I think how it could work out. Again, we don't know until the chart starts to form up. Okay, guys, I'm going to do 2 more, and then I'm going to wrap up. So if you haven't hit that like button, please do so. Helps the channel. I do appreciate it. If you're a private member, thanks for your membership. Hopefully you're finding value out of that. Again, I really try to find good trades in there. So I'm not always just in there commenting about every trade, but I do try to find key things. So if I'm silent, I just don't see anything. That's typically how it works. Thanks for the membership. And if you're not a private member, feel free to join up. I think it's $5 a month. You can quit anytime, so there's pretty low commitment. If I can put you on one winner, usually it'll pay for itself. But of course, there's losers. I have losing trades as well. TNA, so that's our 10-year treasury yield. Obviously very important to keep an eye on. And TLT is is what you can trade here. All right, I don't think TLT it broke trend. So I'm gonna leave this as the bull trend in. Sorry, am I looking at the right thing? This is a 3-time leverage ETF on the small caps. Is that what this is, or financials? I forget. It's been a while since I've traded this one. Which one is this? Is this the small caps? It's the bull fund on the small caps, I think. Yeah, small caps. All right, so bull trend. But again, I don't chart these. All right, typically. You can trade them, but use the IWM. Chart that one. And then, let's move this. Hold on. I need to adjust this. Okay, I'm going to go with that and say it still is holding bull trend. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that for now. I only have 2 data points, but it's clean. So we do have negative divergence just right up here, so we might break that, but yeah, I'm going to go with that one. Yeah, I was going into the treasury yields. That's one thing. You look at like TLT. Okay, there's your break of trend. All right, so that's a sell signal in the TLT, which means interest rates are rising. And there's your rising interest rates. They're at the 200 days, so maybe you got to battle it out here for a little bit. But interest rates are rising, and as interest rates rise, it will put pressure on the markets. That's just the fact So that's why I think, going back to the triple Qs, I think we might have seen the top on this. It's not, I think we're going to get a bounce here, but I don't know. I think this to me looks like the top of triple Q. So if it's not, and you close above it, I'm wrong. We did make a new higher high in the triple Qs from the former high, but that's okay. That higher high came with divergence. See the negative divergence there? Higher high, divergent high, likely a false breakout, selling. All right, that was a bull trap. And if you go and look at the S&P 500, did not make a higher high. There's your former high from January of 2022. Made a close to higher high, but not a higher high. If we sell down here, if we just start to sell down here and just continue another leg lower, go ahead and look at the psychology of a market, or I think there's a chart, and basically this would be fitting that chart just perfect. So that is possible. One more, guys. Let me see. I'm going to kind of scan through. I made it pretty much to the end of the list. So BA has had a pullback after a long extended run up. Well, so has the rest of the market, right? I mean, Apple's down 10%. So, yeah. Yeah, it's not a very, this is just like algo trading, but yeah, you're pulling back. Nothing too, that's a sell signal right there. When you break trend, my trend line's probably off, but that's a sell signal. So I think it's sell the rip, but again, you could get a rally. I think it's sell the rip. I think maybe rally, down, something like that. Hey, I'm glad you liked the course. I took it down. I did take the course down. I just wasn't getting a whole lot more interest in it. And, I was paying to host it and everything. So I took it down. I maybe at some point in time in the future, I'll kind of redo it and put it back up there. But again, I'm not, I took it down. It wasn't too big of a deal. If you're interested, let me know. But in general, and it had a lot of good information in there. It's not a trading course. It's not like, oh, I'm going to teach you guys to make 1% a day or stupid stuff like that. I never really have put any kind of claims out there like that. What it is I'm going to teach you guys how to read these charts, find trades, and mostly swing trading. And then, find how to catch the trends. We didn't catch this big long bull trend up. I'm looking at BA, I didn't catch it. But if you guys go back and look at my videos from when this bullish trend started, I was long. I was long right here. All right, I was long right here. I just got out early and then I was looking for shorts. So, don't always get all the trend. I don't get every trend right, and I always don't get the entire move. But I do try to get positioned at the beginning of trends, and then I'll let you guys kind of figure out, how far you want to let those things push. So the last one I'm going to cover, Firm. I know that one's had a pretty strong move up, so maybe there's a short here. Let me take a look. And it's got a sell signal. It gapped down. That's your sell signal right there. Big resistance right there. Yeah, I'd say you're coming down. All right, the trend line down here. Potential for a 50% drop. The trend line is not my favorite. I'd almost want to adjust it like that, but that's the best I can do. 2 data points, 1, 2. So you can always use Fibonacci projections too from the high and try to find those key levels. I would say rather than this trend line, You could use the 200-day as a nice level. There's a potential reaction high right here. Something like that. All right. I'd look more for like a 25-ish range as a target. That would be... yeah, let me look at that. If you paid for the course, I could probably figure out how to make people, how to have people have access to it still. I took it down because, again, it just, I'm having to host it, but let me look at that, because I don't have any problem, making that a deliverable to people who paid for it. And then also I thought about redoing it. When I put that course together a couple years ago, mostly I didn't want to do it at first, but I got so much requests from subscribers, so I put it together. I might redo it and just kind of clean it up, and but we'll see. For now, really focused on trying to get this next trend. All right, and if we are gonna have that next leg lower in what I believe to be a bear market, I think it's got to start soon, and we need to see that. So I'm really interested in trying to catch that move, because it's not priced into the chart right now, and a lot of people don't think it's possible. So that's where the big opportunities come from. When everyone's loaded, everyone's pretty much bullish right now, and I'm not screaming bearish in the short term, because I just don't see enough in the charts to tell me that. But I think that if everyone's bullish, usually you can get those counter moves that are really impulsive, because again, you've got everyone loaded to one side. So if things start going against them, that's a lot of selling pressure. So we're looking for that move. Okay, that's all I got, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Kyle, I did cover GDX already. Thanks for the super chat. I did cover that. Let me go ahead and just, you can go back and look at the video, but again, just potential bullish trend here, but I can't validate the third data point. I've got one data point here, one here, and I don't have a third. So I'd like to see that third data point. All right, maybe it comes down and hits that, and if it can hold and even bounce, that's your third data point. That would validate this as an upward channel. Okay, and then Newmont, given it this is the largest stock in GDX, does have that third data point. 1, 2, 3. So I think Newmont's going higher. I think GDX is probably going higher as well. All right. Now, if Newmont breaks and you break this, that changes that. But as of right now, we got a reaction. We're holding this. So I've got 1, 2, 3. That's a trend line. So watch that trend line. Okay, guys, that's all I've got. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. You guys take care, and I'll see you on Monday. All right? Bye.